So let's jump in and dive in for game number 1. Just before we introduce the players, thank you so much, Partial Frontal, for coming in with a subscription. Thank you for subscribing to the stream, appreciate it. Obviously, if you guys are enjoying, at least hit that follow button, see you're live in the future, but also consider, you know, if you've got a Twitch Prime sub to use, it'd be awesome. All that good stuff, it helps us keep on producing the content. As we have to the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player. This is KeeN. And at the top left-hand side, we've got the blue Terran player. This is Bunny. Alright, so setting up into this. Early game TvT we've seen as be a mixture of proxies and all sorts today. So Heatwave is getting set up into this, and an interesting map. I like it. You know, third base off to the side. You got that top right fourth as well. We saw sort of versus, I believe, MC on this map as well yesterday, and sort of really struggled to hold this fourth base over here. Having to come out around those rocks and over there was actually very difficult for him to, you know, make happen. In the Terran versus Terran, I believe this base will be the more popular one. Both of the positions are kind of good for tanks. I believe a tank here might reach the refinery. It'd be very close. Maybe it wouldn't. But tanks here are deadly because you siege up the main base, and at that point it becomes very, very difficult. As the command center dropping down on the natural expansion. So CC coming down on the natural factory, building up in the main. KeeN getting this rolling. Factory is going to be coming up from Bunny in the top left-hand side. So getting that factory start, and we are going to be seeing an SCV and a Mule on the way out. So Mule dropping down, going to start mining away here. And we are going to be seeing obviously just a lot of SCVs mining away on this command center. Obviously nice to have a group of 3 Terrans, and we've seen a lot of Terran action today. Again, just to currently run through the groups, we haven't seen any true games yet, so he's still a real kind of, you know, question mark in terms of how things are going to turn out. But Bunny has gone 3 maps and 3 map wins, 1 map lost so far. KeeN is on the same scoreline going into this series after they've both played against KeeN and Patience. So KeeN took a map off of Patience. KeeN went 1-1 against Patience, Bunny went 1-1 against Soul, and then they both 2 of the other players the other way around. So the results here, and then the results against True, obviously very influential for these guys. I mean, as long as they win 1 map, they're guaranteed to finish above Soul. Patience still having to play against True. He's 3-3 in the group as well, so a map win here sort of puts you in a good spot against Patience, although obviously it's not guaranteed. They're still just like a couple series away from really seeing where this group is exactly turned into. But I would say, apart from Soul, everyone's still a real contender, depending on how their matches against True goes. And again, as I have a couple of those played out, we'll really see who's ready to advance, who's available to, and stuff like that, as we do see a couple of Reapers coming forwards, and they are going to be able to try and pick up an SCV. Doesn't quite make it happen just yet. And actually, both of those Reapers going to go down. The 2 Hellions will dive by into the natural. They're not going to find much luck. Only an SCV kill on the bunker. Question in the chat: did Blizzard have anything to do with establishing the different genres of the map for the map contest, or was it all Team Liquid? As far as I am aware, Blizzard set the rules for the map contest. It's run by Team Liquid and admin by Team Liquid, etc. But Blizzard say, hey, we want these kind of maps for the next couple of map pools. We want to try out this feature in the maps as well to see if we can, you know. So it is Blizzard's, as far as I'm aware, it is Blizzard's. Blizzard, I think, at least tell them a rough idea, and then maybe Team Liquid categorize them, but yeah, I think Blizzard have a pretty good say in it, obviously. This entire thing is sponsored by Blizzard. As you see, the Cyclone, the Raven, Marine from Bunny all joining up in the main, and a couple of those Cyclones heading towards the upper left-hand side from KeeN. So 2 Cyclones going to be dropping across. KeeN just keeping up the pressure, man, with those 2 Hellions that drove by a little bit earlier. Let's see what he can do with this. Follow-up's already very interesting. Bunny's again very quick to go up into the triple racks. You can see that KeeN is just a little bit slower on that. The second and third racks just now finishing, as Bunnies are already on reactors. So Bunny just a little bit more bio-focused from the start. As we'll see those two Cyclones dropping down. They'll drop onto a... they'll lock onto the Cyclone there. Oh, the Medevac's locked onto as well. Have to drop back down. Auto turret drops, and that's one dead Cyclone. The other Cyclone surrounded by SCVs. We'll get at least a couple of kills here, though. Oh, turns onto the Marines. Probably wouldn't have actually been an SCV kill. I think it would have survived with like 2 HP. Not 2 HP, but it would have been pretty low. I think it would have been like 9 health. So it would have been like one more hit from beat going down. So the SCV, I mean, turned onto the Marine, it doesn't really make a difference, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Probably wasn't going to get another worker kill in the end anyways. Alright, well, Stimpack going to be finishing in a moment or two, +1 armor attack upgrade going to be done on the engineering bay shortly as well. I mean, again, it's these bio upgrades that take a lead for Bunny, because he's just been a bit more focused on it. And exactly as he did against Soul, loads up the medevacs and he starts to go straight across the map. And if this turns into something of a base trade, I mean, I feel like against a push like this, it's very good because you kind of instigate a base trade where you're defending your, your natural anyways. I mean, Bunny's going to have Stim here to fight. I mean, if those tanks get sieged up, it's dangerous, but if they're not sieged, it's not dangerous at all. We'll see if KeeN has something at home. He does keep a Raven, a few Marines, and a tank over here. So he's going down. There's an auto turret in the main base. That Raven from KeeN actually finding some damage, which is... You don't see the auto turrets doing a lot of damage nowadays, usually. So it's a little bit different from what we're expecting to see. KeeN decides to pull back, I think, realizing he's not going to get a lot done by continuing to try and attack. As Bunny comes in towards the natural, but there's a siege tank here, Raven too. It just doesn't work out, and he sees the other army here as well pulling back. He realizes, okay, can't really commit into this now. Have to pull away, have to back off from this, and just take a moment or two to chill the heck out. Well, Marines, tanks, and medevacs continue to come down to the bottom side of the map. Continue to get healed up right here as we see Bunny pressing forwards. Again, 2 tanks up on the high ground, those Marines hanging out as well. The command center down in the natural. And well, here we go. The Marines starting to push up the ramp. One tank already dropping. He actually hits the interference matrix on the Raven of his opponent and on the siege tank here in the back. What a push by Bunny. Hits just before all of the upgrades. Look at the upgrades. Stim, combat, +1. They're so close to finishing. Hits before all of those are done. Hits perfect in have. Next map, ready to rumble. Bottom right-hand side, a killer push from Bunny, the Blue Terran, in that first game to go up 1-0 in this 2-game series. Again, we just play 2 games every time. It's a good way to make sure we get a consistent amount of maps played each day. Make sure we can cast all of it as well, as we have KeeN to the top left-hand side, the Red Terran. Yeah, I have this issue where if we do 5 players and we do best of 3s, the issue is sometimes 10 best of 3s can take way too long to all cast in one day. And so what I decided to do instead was, instead of messing around with that, and we do kind of best of 2s, because 20 maps is always castable, right? Like, if a game lasts, on average, let's say like 10 to 15 minutes, let's say worst case, like 15-minute average game length, then we're talking about, 20 maps is done in 5 hours, right? So it's a very manageable cast. A best of 3, sometimes we've had these best of 3s, we've cast like 5 best of 3s in like 5 hours, and it's like, well, that's a bit crazy, So it's why we do the best of 2s here. It also means everyone plays the same amount of maps. It means that we know how many maps we're going to have played in a day as well, and that helps a lot with the veto system for the map contest, because the veto system's obviously, if you have like a map being picked as map number 3, you're not guaranteed to see it, and that makes it a bit more difficult for me to decide, okay, we should put it back in, and just kind of plan the map orders ahead of time. So it works out quite nice. Condog902, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. Get some love and hype in the chat for Condog. Thank you so much for subscribing with the Twitch Prime. Yeah, this map is huge, Mellow Yellow. It is honestly an insanely big map. We saw a huge game on this yesterday between Ziggy and Solov. I believe the longest game of the tournament so far, 25 minutes. And as we do see a lot of these inhibitor zones set up around the map, of course. So the inhibitor zones, I mean, it's a large map amplified by the fact these inhibitor zones are set up. And I will say that this map uses these inhibitor zones in a very different way to how the map uses, or to how the other maps use the inhibitor zones. I feel like the other maps use the inhibitor zones in such a way that they're like, okay, well, you know what? What we're doing here is we're saying, you know, we've got a fairly small map, and the inhibitor zones let us make the map a little bit larger. What Moongon CJ does is it takes the inhibitor zones and says, right, we've already got a very large map. How can I use these zones to change the way the fights happen as the game continues? Like, is there a way to kind of force fights in certain directions? You know, by making it a very open map, I give you a lot of, you know, positions you can move around, but you still have to make some sacrifices to use all of those positions. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Can you attack the inhibitors? No. This is one thing I discussed as well. I would like to see the I would kind of like to see the idea of the inhibitor zones be like, maybe you can, like, on this map, obviously you kind of use them with the intention of them being influential later in the game, right? But I really would like to see a situation where it's like, okay, you know what, here's the inhibitor zones, and what we're going to do is sort of have this setup where we're going to kind of have this setup where it's going to be very, very interesting overall, I guess, but like, maybe you can, like, you kill them off later in the game, or like they have like a load of HP, so like way more health than rocks, for example. So it's something that's in the game, but much later on. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting, because then I feel, obviously that doesn't really apply so much for this map, because this map they're intended to be used later, and to change the map later. Anyways, we'll see what comes of it. We've seen a couple cool little things from the inhibitors so far in the tournament. I mean, I think the thing that I really like is the idea of having a more compact map, and a map that's more compacted, which is then still able to be kind of like not just going to be like super rush friendly, because the inhibitors slow down those attacks, right? So I do feel like that's a good little positive way to kind of look at these, and you know, a way in which they can be used very effectively and so on. So let's see that command center on the way up here from KeeN. So again, that third CC up and rolling. Marine of Bunny starts to push out up this right, up through the center. I'm just going to be seeing a Raven hanging out on the bottom right side as well. Command center finishing as soon as it's going to be triple CC very shortly, as the starport moves over to the side. Haven't talked much about these builds, but it's pretty passive, as you would maybe expect on such a large map. Bunny even building his third base in location, so he feels really confident about being able to hold on to this. No worries at all. Yeah, the inhibitor zones slow down the slow down units, so you can slow down air and ground units by 35% when they move through them. Anyways, again, guys, you got to remember this is just one of those things that have been tested out. It's not necessarily going to be maps that make it into the ladder if Blizzard don't feel like they work well. So I wouldn't get, you know, all worried about them. I think it's fun to try different things out. Try things that are a little different and maybe bring some ingenuity to the game, because you never know until you try it, right? I mean, maybe someday we'll have one of these challenge maps and everyone in the chat's like, whoa, I want to see this on every map, you know? Maybe not every map, but you know what I mean? Like, different features and stuff. I think it's fun to play with, and it keeps the game fresh and a bit different and interesting too. So do have the army of KeeN start to push across the map here. Sorry, I was talking about Bunny having the third base on position, but yeah, KeeN just setting up on that third base. You just continue coming down to the bottom right from KeeN. So it's Bunny that built his main in the third. Just got probably the top floors from last game. So anyways, a little bit of a push forwards. That's a big interference matrix already on the Raven. He can actually interference matrix chain on the Raven. As KeeN's press forwards, he's going to pull back. So the Raven will get will get away. Two Ravens versus one. Does he want to dive for another matrix? And he'd have to matrix these two tanks as well, which is not going to be easy. We've seen a couple of SCEs going down. More Marines coming across the map. We see Liberators from Bunny going across, so he's looking to deal some damage. Needs to do something. 6 workers down. I was obviously starting to trail a little bit here. Raven's still just hanging out. A couple of lives trying to get set up in the next couple of moments. Turn and siege up onto this base, and another one towards the main. Marines and Cyclones able to kind of hit this here. It's actually going to be Bunny that throws down interference matrices to make a move out of this. And he's got the stim pack already done, and KeeN doesn't. So Bunny has a huge advantage in the fight, as he's killing workers with the Liberators as well. So much mining time being lost on the other side of the map at the moment. A couple of Marines just doesn't really cut it against Liberators, because they just have so much HP and armored. Wow, suddenly Bunny just breaks straight out of there. That's crazy. Our attempt of a Liberator from KeeN here is not going to do much. Cyclone helps to push it away. And Bunny takes a lead in this second game now here against KeeN. Marines and tanks coming up towards the top side of the map. This Liberator jumping in towards the main here as well. Will come along and siege up on this main base. We're going to get rid of a few more SCVs. So starting to pick away at a few of those. Marines coming in that Liberator up pretty easily though. Overall, we have the tanks, Cyclone, sieging, lifting up. But they're going to go for a little bit of a drop. Again, those inhibitor zones do slow down air units as well. As they come around to the top, can maybe move towards the main base. A couple of Marines going to split in two different directions. One up the top, one through. Just kind of watching for these medevacs. And KeeN actually takes the watchtower. That's nice. So he sees the drop coming along up here. And Bunny actually doesn't know that this is being spotted. So we'll have to be careful with how he approaches this. You can see the tank setting up in the main, the Marines. Yeah, this is not a position Bunny actually wants to commit into, and yet he doesn't know it. He drops straight in. The stiff Marines will go in. Oh my god, 3 tanks lost, 1 medevac as well. Wow, Bunny loses so much there. And maybe gives KeeN a bit of an opportunity to get back into this. However, now he drops into the low ground. Nice interference matrix on the tank to buy a couple of moments. He'll be able to get that sensor tower at least, which is always an expensive pickup. It's 100 gas that sensor tower, and it goes down so easily. Bunny with some more units rallying across the map now as well, so he's turned this into a larger fight on the third base. Good movement from the main down to the third. The tanks continue to fight. Is obviously out of Raven energy. Not going to be able to see Ravens come into this any longer, but oh my god, Bunny is destroying this fight. Those Marines from KeeN just seem to disappear. Tank gets picked up because of the Liberators. Bunny backs away, waits for some more reinforcements, and is going to load up once again. So it looks like he wants to set up in towards the another push towards the main. Perhaps he's actually just going to back away, but I feel like he might want to drop still. Obviously, KeeN saw it, so he has to play very safe at the moment. It's going to be tough. A few more Marines loading up into those medevacs. And that was really crazy, that fight from Bunny. I don't believe that tank got so many shots off his. The Marines of KeeN just kept dying. Really, really fast. What felt like a fight that should have been okay for KeeN. Now the tanks from the medevacs, so they can position easily and quickly. It's KeeN who's also sending a group of units down the bottom side. As Bunny builds a 4-pin location, that'll be maybe delayed by this Liberator. KeeN has to instantly move this out of position here. Oh, tank on the high ground. He can kill that. He took a few more shots. He kind of went for it and then he didn't. Pushing forward now. That third in some trouble. Might want to siege the tanks and maybe lift towards the main. It's kind of a tough decision as to what exactly to do here for the best. SCV's on the high ground are in tank range. That's very painful. Remember, KeeN has got a drop moving along the bottom side of the map as well, but it's not in position just yet. You can see that Bunny knows the potential of this, though. He's saying, well, this is not all of your army, so where is your army? It's in the main base as those Marines push forward. See, a couple of tanks are going to go down. So a couple of tanks going down. Continue to be picked away at here. These Marines continue to clean up, doing a great job of this. The medevac's going down. Bunny with some dominant TvT here. It just feels like every fight, every decision, Bunny seems to have the better half of this and comes out ahead and ahead and ahead.